Hey, it's me. Are you downloading him now? Hey, it's Bob. He doesn't care. What does he know about classification?
First look at the top secret government files that could reveal key details.
Highly anticipated government files.
This is that I'd like to fill in, and the way to do it is get these documents out.
All right, and the documents, I want everyone to know, they literally have just dropped.
I just want to show you the amount of information that we have coming out of First Squadron. We have communications from their operations, as seen in the last video for the first anniversary hit and the Jump Gate massacre. We've got their meeting audio from where this all exploded, this big exodus from First Squadron, and we had it the same night. We have access to every channel within the First Squadron Discord. And the funny thing about that is GrieferNet is known for infiltrating orgs to commit their hits. It's a known thing. But we didn't have to infiltrate this org. This org had defectors from the beginning. Since we've had so much access to everything going on behind the scenes with First Squadron, we've seen multiple people being kicked out of their org because they are under suspicion of being a GrieferNet spy. We've had correspondence with this Adam person, somebody who was just seen in the vicinity of GrieferNet and was sussed out, quote unquote, as a spy. We also have DMs with some people we don't necessarily want to burn. This is just another person that was accused of being a GrieferNet spy and was ultimately kicked out. A witch hunt, as you might put it. These screenshots are pretty telling when it comes to figuring out the whole mindset behind this paranoia about having GrieferNet spies within the Discord. They had all of this effort put into trying to find people that were infiltrating their organization, but at the end of the day, they were already compromised from the beginning at the highest level of their leadership. First Squadron was not without their defenders, their generals and colonels, primarily Kaiju and Frizzy, would go up to bat against GrieferNet in any chat PvP scenarios, fighting against any shit talking that was happening. These are the people that were ultimately stabbed in the back by SpecSniper, kicked out for disagreeing with him after they had put their reputations on the line in the Star Citizen community to back him, back his organization, basically sing the praises of First Squadron, while in the background there was always a moment in time where if they disagreed with SpecSniper, then they were next on the chopping block. And they all knew this to be an eventuality because it had already happened. It had already happened to Yurts. It happened to Composer after the Yurts situation. It happened to Clown Baby, and it would eventually happen to all these other members. Anytime anyone would bring up a disagreement with Spec, then that person would be targeted.
I'll give everyone an update after I speak to leadership, but this is just to fill everyone in into what's happened in the last 48 hours.
But but everybody else has to get their side in too of things, because I think you're just telling one side.
Well, correct. And if anyone wants their side, like I said, you can join the Discord. I went over that earlier before you joined Workshop, but they can join their Discord and get their side of things. You can go through the VoIP or go through all the messages in their chat.
What? Wait, you're saying that anybody who wants to know the other side go to that other Discord?
Just about everyone here has been invited to the other Discord, so I'm sure 90% of the group here has already filled in on it.
I don't think that's true. You went and told everybody that there was a coup against you, and you outed a whole bunch of people, dude. All your top leadership, man. And you don't give them a chance to talk to these guys. Because that did not happen. That did not happen. But Spec, just so everybody here knows, nobody tried to do a coup against you. You just outed like 10, 15 people of trying to take over your Discord whenever you actually left the Discord. You left the org.
Frizzy33 was somebody that I wanted to reach out to because he is essentially a central figure in this whole fallout. He was the catalyst for this split with some of his behavior, whether or not you believe that that kind of behavior is good or not good, it doesn't really matter. I feel like if you're in a true friend group, petty little spats like that can be worked out, or even a little bit of shit talk between friends is something that's not necessarily a reason to cut ties with another person. I think it shows that Spec was so high up on this pedestal in his head that he could not be disagreed with. He could not be challenged, even by his closest friends, his generals, quote unquote. He believed he was infallible, and at a time where he could have had some humility about the situation, when he could have reflected on his past behaviors. Instead, he just doubled down. And we can see here within this conversation, SpecSniper was trying to be very controlling when it came to what the organization was doing when he wasn't around. He says here, one great example was recently a few of us left Sodium Nuggets. Then he goes in there the moment he killed Heimdallite, saying he couldn't help it. Everyone knows he goes off in PvP channels like a mentally unstable person, and we were tired of that too. Really what brought the house down was his lack of taking accountability for fucking anything. Anyone that disagreed with him became a problem. These aren't my words. These aren't the words of Griefernet telling you that the mentality of SpecSnipers. This is his general, his friend, the person that has been playing with him for a year or more, telling you what kind of person SpecSnipers is. Uncle Porkchop is another interesting figure within this whole drama because there was something that initially drew him to First Squadron, some aspect of their culture, or maybe it was just the amount of people they had with them or whatever. And he was ultimately let down, just like the long-term members of First Squadron were, by SpecSnipers. We can see from some of the screenshots that came from public channels where Uncle Porkchop has shown his disdain for some of the actions that Spec has taken, banning Clown Baby. And Uncle Porkchop had a big problem with Spec trying to split up the members and the former leadership or the former officers, trying to tell their general membership that a completely different story and not letting them really have a conversation along with those officers about the situation that was happening. Put it out there publicly, some of the drama that started because of some of Spec's actions, inviting a bunch of anti-PvPers, anti-piracy players, etc. into their organization, along with merging with a medical org that said their medical game loop couldn't work with an org tied to piracy. Uncle Porkchop also says out loud for anybody to read that he and a few others have promoted the brand of First Squadron, the fantasies of these multi-crew and combined arms dreams, he says. Huge space battles. First Squadron was headed in that direction, but it was all held together by one person making extreme decisions.
Now, a lot of accusations were thrown at Frizzy, and I want to give Frizzy a chance to speak back. Frizzy, take it slow. Tell us your side. Tell us what's going on. Like, he told a lot of things about it, and we want to hear your side now. So please unmute yourself and just talk, bro.
Yeah, so I wasn't in that meeting the day you guys had that meeting, but I told Spec that nobody gives a fuck on his take about the hollow list situation, and that's what he's referring to recently as me cussing him out. I called him a pussy in the past because he didn't want to show up in a voice comm about Composer and like basically a situation that he like is really passionate about and just didn't want to be there because he said he didn't want to deal with it. And any other time I've cussed, I remember pretty well. And I gave Spec a long apology about calling him a pussy, and then he posted all of my DMs to him apologizing in general chat. Like, I mean, who would really want their like sincere apology posted just like that without being asked? But anyway, as for him coming in and seeing that there's a coup, I did talk about kicking him out of the org because he changed his tune on leaving leadership. I wasn't even there for that, so that's something the other guys can chime in more probably. And basically, my concern was that Spec was going to nuke the whole Discord, and we wanted to save the org and instill a council of leadership instead of what he's doing when he circumvents every like counterpoint to his. Like, you're basically not allowed to think differently.
Final thing I want to show you is just the way Spec treats certain people once he has gotten them into his crosshairs. On the screen, you can see a conversation between Composer and SpecSniper, an argument about things happening in game and in Discord, where SpecSnipers is trying to change the reality of the situation in Composer's head. He's trying to gaslight Composer into believing a completely different reality, and goes so far even at one point to ask Composer to not say anything to other people behind his back because he had deleted the audit log or the airlock message where Composer had been kicked from the org yet again for the second time. Composer was apparently kicked before and after the entire Yurts situation, and he's been somebody that's been there from basically day one with First Squadron. As you can see in these DMs, SpecSniper will ignore differences in opinion about the reality of whatever situation that is going on, and will just continue attacking with after message, trying to beat this other reality into the mind of the other person. Even when given explanations for things, he chooses to ignore them. He chooses to ignore what another one of his generals is saying. And ultimately, in this situation, kicked Composer out without any vote, something that the organization itself had decided was going to be something that was voted on in the future. And Composer's not the only person that this happened to. So it seems if you're particularly annoying enough to Spec and his ideas, that the rules of the org don't matter. There doesn't need to be a vote to kick you, because Spec can just delete you, delete the message that you left, and then spin some other narrative to the rest of the group as to why you are no longer there. And these are the behaviors that caused so many people defect to Griefernet. Composer is not the only one that defected. Multiple generals and colonels of First Squadron came to us to ensure the downfall of Spec. And looking at just these set of DMs can show you what kind of behavior he's doing behind the scenes with other people too.